The third way that we fall prey to being enslaved is our own personal desires. Our own personal desires pull us away from where we should be. Have you ever been in the car or just walking with somebody and say, hey, I know how to get there, I'm going, let's go this way. And they go, no, I'm not going that way. This is the way that I go. Yeah, but you're going in the wrong direction. Yeah, I don't care what you say. This is the way I'm going to go. Oh, look, but the GPS says that you should make a right here. Nope, that's not the way that I go. And you spend hours getting lost. I won't point out who that person may be in your life. I think every once in a while we experience that. Sometimes we're the person that's being the stubborn, disobedient one, and sometimes it's someone else. Please don't look at that person right now. But the desire of the flesh, the desires of the flesh and of the mind control our life. Ask someone who's addicted to anything. We like to think of addiction as it's only something about drugs and alcohol. Those are very serious addictions. But some people are addicted to shopping. Some people are addicted to social media. Some people are addicted to their own emotions. They're constantly angry. We don't even know why. You could say it's a beautiful thing. No, it's not. It's cold outside. It warms up. No, it's hot. They're never happy about anything. You wonder what's wrong with you. But they're controlled by this anger that they have that they can't even figure out where it comes from. And the desires of the flesh, a lot of times when we hear that in the Bible, we think of only a sexual sin. But Paul's list of sins in the flesh in Galatians, the 5th chapter, and in Galatians, the 5th chapter, verses 19 to 21, he includes adultery, he includes fornication, he includes other sins, though, like idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, wrath, strife, envy, division, dissensions, rage. Some of the stuff we have already experienced in this past week, we have seen already. The flesh, by the way, is the lower part of our nature. It's that part of nature that gives us a point of attack. It's the one that is vulnerable to all of these things. Myself, you, everyone is vulnerable to all of those things. You might say, well, I don't like alcohol. Okay, well, but you might be envying somebody else's job, somebody else's house, car, wife, or husband. You may not even realize that. We all have something that is very easily for us to fall into, to be attacked by. Side note, I was in a Bible study. It was kind of interesting. We were talking about something. We were talking about Potiphar and his wife, and Joseph was being attacked by Potiphar's wife. In the book of Genesis, you can look this up on your own. And we were having a discussion about it. It was a men's Bible study, and someone had mentioned, well, what would you do if this happened to you? And have you ever been in a situation? And well, that's not me. One of the guys said, I'm a Christian man. I said, well, that's interesting. I said, you never get tempted then? He goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. To me, there's always temptation around. If Jesus Christ could be tempted, why couldn't you be? He said, well, I never thought about it like that. I said, we have an assumption that because we have certain titles, that we won't ever have any kind of issues or any problems. That we won't ever have temptation to fall into some of the things that were just listed by the Apostle Paul. Why do you think he wrote it to the Galatians? Why do you think he wrote to the Ephesians and to the Romans? Because he understood that all of these things have potential problems for human beings. Here's the problem with all of that. We have the assumption that all the things that he listed, and some of them will say, well, what's wrong with some of those things? Well, what's wrong with it is you become the object of God's wrath. And we don't talk about that too often. But God is a God of justice. We don't seem to always put that in our head. We say God is love, and God is love. But part of that love requires justice to be served. It says in the 3rd verse of the 2nd chapter of Ephesians, we are by nature deserving of wrath. By our nature. By our fleshly nature, we are actually deserving of wrath because we all fall into a lot of these things that keep us in a state of being lost. This is a vivid expression of the fact that those people who are truly lost, who don't know Jesus Christ, they're waiting for the wrath of God. They're objects of that wrath because God does not tolerate sin. But here's the thing. Part of God's wrath is revealed in the life of the lost person. See, we always think that in the end, I don't care if I end up in hell. I've actually had someone tell me that one time. We'll go to hell, everybody's going to be partying and doing all these crazy things that Paul said you shouldn't be doing. And I go, do you even understand what hell is? Hell is the absence of God. It's the absence of goodness. You're not going to enjoy yourself there. Let's put it that way. What do you mean? I mean, you're definitely not going to enjoy yourself. Because joy comes from God. But you look at the lives of those who just constantly in this cycle of sin, and they become callous. They become hard of heart. They're insensitive. That's part of God's wrath. It's a natural result of their sin has caused them to lose some of the finest things, the best things in life. You ever hear someone say that? Oh, there's no love out there. There's no such thing as that. Their heart is so hard. They're living in a life of despair right here on earth. They didn't have to wait to get to hell for that. They're already suffering the consequences. You see it all the time. You can watch people that are addicted to alcohol, to drugs. You see their body decay. You see their minds decay. And you say, why are we still doing that? But they're so hardened by their sin, they don't know. They're lost, literally. But God's wrath is not just for the here and now, it's also for later on. And the Apostle Paul warns against us being stubborn about having our own way and doing our own thing. And he says that an unrepentant heart stores up wrath against our own self for the day of God's wrath, when his righteous judgment will be revealed. That's in Romans, the 2nd chapter, verse 5. Now that sounds like I guess you could say one of those fire and brimstone kind of messages. But that's not the end of the message. The end of the message really is that the Bible gives us all these examples so we understand something. And what we need to understand is that no matter what we see in our communities, in our homes, even sometimes in our own lives, Jesus Christ is the answer. You see it all the time. People are constantly, quote unquote, looking for themselves. It's kind of funny. I always, every once in a while when someone says that to me, I want to put up a mirror and go, there you are. But they're actually asking a deeper question. They're on a journey to try to find something that is missing in their lives. They just don't understand where to go find it. They are truly lost. They're looking for meaning, and they look for it in every single aspect of the world, and then they turn around and go, is that all there is? I watched a program a while back about people climbing Mount Everest. And it's gotten to be kind of ridiculous. There's so many people that climb this thing now that there's, unfortunately, junk all over the place. But one of the guides kind of recalled and thought to himself, wow, this is what this has become. People would get to the top of the summit, they take a selfie, and they go, all right, is this it? The joy of going there and training and getting up there, it evaporates. And then we're on to the next thing, and the next extreme thing that we can figure out. Because we're looking for something. But as Christians, we know that being lost in life is not the final destination of our life. We know that there's an answer to the problem of being lost. The answer is in the person of Jesus Christ. So, Paul, in the next couple of verses, gives us the answer of how not to be lost. You could call it the biblical GPS if you like. He said, but God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace, you have been saved. So in verses 4 and 5, he tells us, this is how you get saved. This is how you don't remain lost. Jesus is that answer.